Kyle Shanahan delivered updates on injured 49er players and players returning. Who do Steph and I think will make this roster? And all the other things going on in 49ers world. Stick around for that and more after this. I'm Jason Aponte. That's Steph Sanchez. This is the Bully Ball Podcast on the Gold Standard Podcast Network, the only podcast that does not have a hyperextended knee. First of all, before we say anything, happy birthday, Estefany Sanchez. Oh my goodness, man. What a time to be alive. Great job, Steph. Happy birthday, man.
Hey, look at that. Rob, thank you for putting that little slide thing together. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jay. Another year on this earth, another year for the 49ers to disappoint me like they do, but maybe this is the one.
Why do you gotta go there? Why do you gotta do that? Someone sent out a tweet and they were like, oh, these next few weeks are going to be great. And I'm like, yeah, me before week 3 pisses me off all the way with this team. But either way, happy birthday, Steph. Turning 21 is a big milestone. I remember when I had my first beer. So it's really exciting for you as well.
It sure is. And yes, 21, it feels great.
Yeah, absolutely. 21, Deion Sanders' year. So I know we want to talk 49ers, but real quick, I got a chance. There's a picture up on that slide. You and Rob. I finally got a chance to hang out with Rob. That was pretty cool.
There we go. How'd it go?
It was great. Meeting Rob and everything. We Seattle Mariners. I tried to be cool and wear some Mariner stuff. I have a Ken Griffey. Ken Griffey's an absolute swag god in baseball, so it's not hard to have something for him. But I got to hang out with the boss man. But I want to say that Rob is an incredible person. But the most wholesome thing in the world happened at the game. So Rob's son is such a good, upstanding young man. Really sweet. They have this game where they pick a number of foul balls before, like it's a predetermined number where they said, I think his son said 46, if I'm not mistaken, meaning it doesn't have to go in the stands, anything that's a foul ball, whatever. And it was just so cool to watch throughout the game where his son looks over at Rob and he's like, Dad, 16, Dad, 18. And it was just so wholesome. You can tell that their dynamic is strong. And it just reminds me of when I used to go to games with my dad when I was a kid, where I'd be the kid who was filling out the scorecard, putting all the outs and all that stuff all together. So it was just cool to witness that sort of tradition that they have. And it's just something that they always do. But a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure Rob preparing his son for the disappointment of being both the 49ers fans and a Mariners fan. So great dad.
And speaking of that, while we were watching the game, we were watching the game on the phone, and it was a roller coaster, whatever. I think you guys all know what happened in the game and everything, but we did watch that first drive, and me and Rob looked at each other after that first drive was over, and it was like, get everybody out right now. It was like, everyone off the field. Okay, a lot of updates today. Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers were back at practice. The preseason finale, God help us all, against the Los Angeles Chargers. It's not like anybody's going to make up a bunch of narratives that are going to piss me off. But, hey, it's definitely something that has to happen. So, obviously, the big news, Dominic Pooney, doesn't sound like it's serious, but Kyle Shanahan wouldn't commit to week 1. Meaning, I would say
they're cutting it close.
Yeah, they are cutting it close. And you know what? Look, you can't risk him for the whole season. So if he can't make it for week 1, at least we have a timeline of that. It's nothing as serious as we probably thought, right? Okay, so that's one that's out of the way, right? Ben Barch was off to the side today, and Kyle Shanahan in the press conference talked about the brace that he was wearing, and he'd be able to play with that. So he's on track for week 1. Filling in today was Nick Zackel, who I'm absolutely done with, and I don't want to see play football anymore.
Dude?
Yeah.
Is that what you're calling him now?
Or Zakel, whatever. I'm calling him Cut. I don't want to see him play football anymore. My God, if he has to play, we're in deep trouble. And Connor Colby moved over to right guard. So Ben Barch, good news. Dominic Pooney, so news. Where are you at right now with the offensive line woes for the 49ers before the season starts?
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I'm okay, like I said, with Pooney maybe resting week 1 as well. Not resting, but getting to 100% before the start of the season. So if he misses week 1 in order to do that, that's fine. I have been impressed with Connor Colby and how he's looked so far. So like what he's doing, if he can, kind of seal a leak, so to speak, in week 1, I'm cool with that. Just nervous about 2 guards, being out, because then you need to find 2 guards to replace them. We already talked about Zakel. He's not it, right? And we'll talk about the roster, but I'm worried, like, with all the injuries, there are some guys that they're gonna have to keep that they normally would not, right? And maybe Zakel is one of those guys, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll get to that. But it's not great. It's not great. I think to start the season, week 1, maybe we see a lot of quick throws from Brock, which we saw on Saturday's game. So I think they could make it out alive, hopefully.
Yeah, it's one game. I mean, in the interest of having him for the whole season, one game isn't necessarily anything. I want to throw this out there because he keeps throwing it out there. John Feliciano's on speed dial, isn't he?
But I've already seen several former 49er players who are throwing their hat in the ring and saying, hey, John, give me a call.
Who else?
The other one? Marquise Goodwin.
Oh,
maybe he wasn't serious. I hope he wasn't serious, but come on.
Come on.
But it's like, we're down bad when you have random players who had retired that are washed, who want to make themselves available to the 49ers. Although Feliciano, in all seriousness, that's how down bad we are. Like, give him a call, because if he could be out there week 1 and, he feels like he could fill in, why not? Why not?
Yeah, I think that he's just going to stick around. He doesn't want to go through training camp, anything like that. If things get to a tipping point, he's always in the back pocket. He said that he was essentially not retired for 27 teams, with the 49ers being number 1. So that's pretty cool. That's fine. I think the 49ers are going to use that, kind of how they similarly do that with running backs. If you want some good news about people who return to practice, this is what I was looking for earlier today. Man, Renardo Green's back. And Renardo Green looked good today. He had a pass breakup on Ricky Pearsall. That has to make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Jason Pinnock was back, but he didn't go through 11 on 11s, but any form that he's returned is good. Isaac Guerendo's back, and that's big because Patrick Taylor's done for the year, and that's going to, we'll lead into the running back thing. Like, obviously they're going to keep 5, but doesn't that make Jeff Wilson a lock?
I mean, it kind of does, right? And he did some good things, I think, in that game on Saturday. He still has some left in the tank, although, God, I really hope they get it together with these injuries in the running back room, because it's ugly right now. I mean, the only solace I have in all of this is the fact that when Christian McCaffrey is healthy, and in week 1, like he will be, they only roll with McCaffrey, if we're being honest. Like, so as long as he's fine, we're good. But once you get past that, my God, the depth is awful.
Yeah, Sammy O returned. That's really good. Jordan Elliott, NBC Sports Jordan Elliott, by the way, he returned. Nick Bosa's back. That's really good because we kept hearing about neck injury, everything. Look, just wrap him up in bubble. I don't want to see him do anything right now. Just don't do anything. But the did not practice list. Mac Jones, knee injury. That's why you saw the return of Nate Sudfeld. Sudfeld darts are back. Wake up, honey. So he's back. And I saw someone ask, is he better than Carter Bradley? The answer is unequivocally yes.
I mean, who asked that?
Someone did. Tanner Mordecai's not even on this roster, so whatever. Who cares? We talked about Dominic Pooney. We talked about Ben Barch, Trent Williams. Wrap him up. I don't want to see anything. Kevin Gibbons still the peck. Fabian Moreau, we don't know what's going on. Corey Kiner, severe high ankle sprain. And I told high ankle sprain to drop the location because I'm not putting up with this again another year, man. Drop the location so we can settle this. This ends tonight, high ankle sprain. I'm tired of you. Robert Beal Jr., Stone Blanton, CJ West, hyperextended knee. Michael Williams, hyperextended knee. Kyle Shanahan did update Michael Williams saying he did have a little soreness. They still have hope for week 1. That's the goal. So, I wouldn't fret too much over that. Jordan James, we didn't expect. Richie Grant, Trey Brown, Upton Stout with his calf. Now, Kyle Shanahan said they're taking it very slowly with him, and they expect to have him for week 1. That's a good thing. Jordan Watkins, still no update. Juwan Jennings, he said the same thing, with the calf, and they're being cautious. Steph, which of these non-practice players gives you the biggest pause or makes you, more worried?
I think the offensive line ones, because
Hmm.
like I think those are most important, and for a position group that has five guys, missing two is a pretty big deal, right? And you could say that about running back as well, wide receivers, but those are depth guys for the most part who are missing. Juwan Jennings, after what I saw from Ricky Pearsall, I think they'll be fine without Juwan Jennings if they need to. If this is a contract thing for Jennings, I still think he's going to be out there week one. And good to hear that Michael Williams should be coming back soon. Same with Upton Stout. I mean, two rookies that I'm excited to see. And as long as they're ready to go week one or shortly thereafter, we're good.
Michael Williams, C.J. West, Upton Stout, Marcus Siegel, 4 potential rookie starters. That is something that I never would have thought that I've ever seen in a Kyle Shanahan led team. It's more push come to shove than it is a philosophy change, but you feel good about those guys. Now behind Upton Stout has been Chase Lucas, who, you know what I forgot, because Diamador Lenore had to clear it up at the press conference. I forgot that we had smoke with Chase Lucas when he was with the Lions. I completely forgot about that.
I forgot that too. I did. I did like the story he told though of them just, guys are so funny. I'm just say this, like, you guys can be mad and then like in a split second it's just like
Guys being dudes.
Guys being dudes, man. I admire that though. Like just the ability to drop the beef like in an instant. Admirable.
Well, I forgot about that, but Chase Lucas has been playing very well. So, regardless of where we were with Upton Stout, you felt okay with Chase Lucas being there, but now the depth in this secondary, you feel a little bit better, right? Marcus Siegel's been taking hell of a stride, and I thought he looked really good, in this game. He looks fast. He's playing side to side. Pinnock is obviously going to be the starter. We're going to find out where he is as he ramps back up to get back in there. The question is starting to become about Jair Brown and whether the team is going to maybe look to shop him a little bit while they're waiting for Malik Mustafa. I obviously the first name that jumps out or the first team that jumps out to you is probably the New York Jets and Steve Wilkes. Funny enough, for all the crap that everybody gave Steve Wilkes, Jair Brown played his best football under Steve Wilkes. Would you ever see the 49ers considering making a move to the New York Jets? Maybe Steve Wilkes is banging the table up there in the front office?
Maybe. I think it would depend on the price, and I only say that because I still think they need Jair Brown for depth.
I think so too.
They don't have a lot of depth at the safety group, and guys who have played more than 1 or 2 years, Jair Brown would fit that, right? They don't have a lot of veterans, so you do have Pinnock, you do have Richie Grant, but it's nice to have someone else with a little bit more experience. And yes, I get it. I think people are ready for something new, but they do still need him at this moment. So I wouldn't roll that dice if I were the 49ers.
I have an off-the-wall idea. You move Jair Brown for a pick to the Jets and sign Justin Simmons. What do you think?
I mean, that could work. That could work.
That you just gave me the Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it is.
You noticed that. You noticed that. Good catch.
Yeah, I mean, well, we speak in memes all the time. I mean, it's just our generation, but I don't have a problem with that idea either. Look, I think the world of Jair Brown. I think he's a phenomenal young man. I think that he's somebody that is, very talented, but it doesn't seem like it's clicking right here. And if you need any more evidence, it just looked bad in Las Vegas. The Brock Bowers catch, and he's still taking poor angles. I'm not sure what the fix is, but it doesn't seem like he's going to crack this rotation, and that's disappointing for somebody that the 49ers invested their first pick, which was in the 3rd round that year, and in his 3rd year that you would think that he's taking that type of step. Maybe Steve Wilkes feels like he can fix him. You bring in somebody like you said with experience like Justin Simmons, and you recoup a pick. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it makes sense and is good for the 49ers, I think we'd all be for it. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, I think Jair Brown stays.
Okay, and I think
Siegel are your starters.
Right, and I think I'm with you on that. And what's going to be interesting is when if Siegel and Pinnock play very well, and Malik Mustafa comes back, who's going to see the bench, right? And it's a good problem to have. That's a good problem to have. Like it shouldn't be cut and dry. Like, oh, when Malik gets back, we got to get Pinnock off the field, or we got to get Siegel off the field. Like I think there's going to be a tough decision that has to be made. Obviously, Malik has to play. Don't get it twisted, but it is going to be interesting, and it'll be a good problem to have. And what's funny is something that we were a little concerned about in the secondary was the depth. Now,
Hmm.
Stout, Chase Lucas, nickel, outside corner, you don't maybe feel as good about that, but maybe safety could turn into a good problem with all of these guys playing well. So, I think look, as this offseason has evolved, we've gone from, oh my God, who's going to play this position behind people, to, wait a minute, they might be all right, a little
Yeah.
bit further down the line. That's what's the fun part about not remaining rigid in your takes, right? And just taking the new information as you get it.
Exactly. And I do remember we were very worried about the secondary depth,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And suddenly you got a couple of guys who are flourishing and you're wondering who's going to start. Like you said, it's a good problem to have. I think as far as the Mustafa thing, obviously we'll answer that question and have a better idea once Mustafa comes back who deserves to stay and who reverts to the bench at that point. But again, good problem to have. I'm excited about so many new players, new starters on this team, which I think has me excited for the season. The one thing that kind of zapped that from me for a bit was the injuries, but I'm looking toward week 1 and I'm still excited for week 1 and what these starters are going to look like.
Well, I mean, the 49ers had the big brain idea of just getting all their injuries out of the way in training camp so they don't have any during the season.
Obviously.
I mean, come on.
Obviously.
Like we have to start looking at this like 4D chess. Like, you have an allotted amount of injuries that you're allowed, and you just say, you know what, we're going to take these all early and just get
Hit their
them out of the
quota.
way. Yeah,
Hit
I
their
mean,
quota.
look,
Super
healthiest
Bowl.
team in the NFL, book it. But we should talk about some of the things that did come out of that game that was also, great. We talked about Chase Lucas, who predicted his interception. I hope he predicts a Super Bowl. You got a chance to talk with him for a little bit, right, Steph? What was that like?
Yeah, just really quickly. And I just asked him what's his goal for the season. And he has some very lofty goals. Obviously, he did say Super Bowl, but then for a personal goal, he said All Pro and Pro
AP.
Bowl. So, I mean, it sounds like a guy who thinks he's going to be getting on the field a lot this year. And I think he's earned it, right, in his performances in the preseason games so far, which also that's one of those competitions in the nickelback spot that I think is getting interesting, especially with Up and Stout continuing to miss time. So I think Chase Lucas is making himself a case right now. But that's a great problem to have as well. And I think Robert Saleh finds a way to get both of them on the field at the same time, even sometimes. So, yeah, it's a good situation.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to justify not putting him on the 53-man roster at this
Exactly.
point.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
He's
Trey Brown's probably on the outside looking in right now, but I wouldn't necessarily bet on that just because he has versatility to play outside and outfield because I went to a baseball game, outside corner, inside corner, right? So you have to kind of think of it in those terms, right? But I have a question. Nick Martin is really making a case right now for a little bit of more playing time because he looked so much better in this
he
game,
looked
Steph.
improved for
No,
sure.
listen, D Winters has this thing locked up and he has for some time. But my goodness, you can see exactly what the 49ers were doing when they went through the evaluation and they looked at him and what he brings to this defense. My God, man. I think it was Max Crosby who was on the broadcast during the game and Nick Martin laid somebody out and he was like, "Ooh." Like he like stopped what he was saying like to
Yeah.
react to that. Nick Martin had himself a hell of a game. That's the development that you want to see and you can see why the 49ers were so high on him even if people thought they reached on him.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely making this 53 just based on how many linebackers they do tend to keep. From the first preseason game to the second, a lot of improvement. I still see like over pursuing and things like that, but that's because he's playing at 100 miles an hour, like at all times.
Mhm.
And he seems to like when he's going towards his target, it seems like he doesn't know that that player has the ability to just juke out of the way. And it happens so often, like and then he looks dumbfounded, right? So as long as he kind of figures that out and just how to handle that and eventually get those tackles and have better angles, he'll figure it out. And I think he'll be really good. But yeah, I think right now we've seen enough that he should absolutely make this
Oh
53,
yeah.
and I'm
I
excited
mean, he
about
was.
it.
I
Yeah,
mean, he
yeah.
absolutely was. It's just it felt like people were quick to bury him a little bit because we did kind of have this thought in our mind earlier on that like, hey, Nick Martin is going to take over the spot because D Winters is
True.
having a tough time being healthy. Like but you have to remember not everybody develops as quickly. It was good to see, right? Like the funny thing is part of the evaluation process in the offseason when you're talking about players is part how they practice, part how they prepare, part how they do in the games. It's not one over the other. It's a three-part evaluation process, right? Some guys don't practice well. Some guys go out there and they're just gamers, right? I could think of, and I'm just saying this to piss off Rob. Think about Jimmy Garoppolo, right? He had a tough time in practice. He's a gamer, man. You get him on the field. He's a Sunday guy. But no, it was nice to see that for Nick Martin. It helps with the 49ers depth. Tatum Batum actually had a really nice hit too as well. I think he hurt Ashton Jancy, right?
He did for a second there. That was a hard hit. That was a hard hit he laid on him. So yeah, you got a lot of linebackers with a very similar mold. It's just the 49ers style. I love them all. But yeah, excited for Winters, and this is exactly what we need to see from him, right? Just him kind of taking hold of that second spot, and he really didn't leave any doubts.
Yeah. And, if you didn't hear that, I'm going to repeat it. Steph Sanchez says she hopes all the linebackers have fun. All right, let's start with certain positions, and let's go through what we think. Again, this is roster prediction 1.0, based on the fact that, oh God, injuries could happen at any moment. We don't know who's going to be available, right? We saw Equinemius St. Brown and who's the other one? And Amir Abdullah were removed from the IR with the injury designation. So they're I hate to say it, they need the IR spots to keep people that they actually want to keep, which is actually really sad.
Crazy.
Yeah, that really is sad. So let's start at running back. Generally, the San Francisco 49ers keep 5. So I think Christian McCaffrey has a good chance at making this team. I think he's shown enough. Isaac Guerrero, Kyle Juszczyk, Jeff Wilson. They got to bring in another body, I think. And I floated out names. I think Jamal Williams is the easy answer. 30 years old, can pass pro, is somebody who's been a professional, very good in the red zone, just a veteran body. When you look around, I don't know if Keyshawn Vaughn's the answer. I don't think so as well. Yeah, it's just it's got to be somebody like that. And I want to pivot from that to this. The Brian Robinson thing, no thanks. Well, James, if he's healthy, if he's not healthy, they can't, and Abanaconda's a Green Bay Packer. The Brian Robinson thing I want to address real quick. Why would the 49ers send a draft pick to Washington when they're just going to cut him in a little bit?
You don't even think he'd make the 53.
Brian Robinson? I think he would, but I'm not going to send a draft pick for him. Look, I don't have as high of opinion other than the fact that he's played football games in the NFL. He was fine. Last year, he was under 4 per carry, and I don't know if anybody watched Washington last year. If you take out all the Jaden Daniels runs, they were horrendous running the football. Horrendous. And I just don't think Brian Robinson's a good fit for outside zone scheme.
Yeah.
And you're going to send a draft pick for a guy that is just going to be essentially a red zone battering ram? I'm good, man. If they want to sign him and bring him in, then he's absolutely, worth it. He's on his last year of his rookie deal. But I'm not sending a draft pick for Brian Robinson. I just don't think that highly of him.
Yeah, and I mean, he's getting this spot taken by an undrafted free agent, and Krosky Merritt, and I have him in my dynasty league, by the way. Just got a
nice move. You got Bill. Nice flex. But that's another thing. That's another thing, Steph. Think about that, right? This young man comes in. The job is his. They have Austin Eckler and Jeremy McNichols, and they're like, "We're good on you, Brian Robinson." Why do you think that is?
Why would they do that?
Why would they do that? Why would they do that? My thing is this, Steph. Early down production can be duplicated. Meaning, he's a first and second down guy. He offers you nothing in the pass game. And what do you have Christian McCaffrey for?
Right. No, he wouldn't see the field. And
he wouldn't see the field.
To be honest, the only thing the 49ers need right now is just depth. I mean, you're basically waiting until Jordan James is back, too. We know he's going to be involved in some sort of fashion probably when he's healthy. So he's making the 53, even though he's hurt right now. But so you're just counting the days before, someone else comes back. And then whoever depth guy makes the roster, it's you could do without him. So Brian Robinson, anyone else that they sign is really going to be at the back end of this depth chart in the running back group. And we already mentioned Jeff Wilson Jr., which I think they're comfortable with because he's already familiar with the scheme, Kyle Shanahan, and everything else. So, I mean, it's not really a conversation in my opinion.
and Nick Wagoner had a really no, I think it was Dieter Kurtenbach actually that had a really really interesting tweet note that Jeff Wilson blocked Nick Martin into the shadow realm, I believe is what that was called. And he said that Nick Martin spent the last few reps on his backside. So, again, look,
Yeesh.
who do you trust, right? And this kind of puts you in this perspective of like, yeah, I want the 49ers to go after this guy. The 49ers are going to add players to this team at running back in a certain positions that are just going to be guys off the street,
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
it's just and here it is, Dieter's tweet. Jeff Wilson blocked linebacker Nick Martin into a shadow realm. 45 ended a handful of reps on the ground.
That's great.
So when we're talking about that, that's why I'm thinking of somebody like a Jamal Williams, right? Like this idea that you should trade valuable draft capital when you have to really still have all those picks. You should be looking to add draft capital, not send it away. You need as many picks as you can because you don't know what's about to happen. You're about to lose your right tackle who's going to get an above market deal. Who knows what's going to happen? What if you need a new left tackle because Trent Williams decides to retire? Like adding to sending away draft capital just doesn't seem smart. And especially for a guy who is not going to see the field, doesn't offer you anything in the passing game,
Exactly.
and it's just a first and second down guy. So as of right now, let's just say we run under the pretense that Jordan James is going to be healthy. James, Juszczyk, Wilson, Garendo, McCaffrey. You feel good about that
There you
five?
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bummed about Kiner, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, severe high ankle sprain, that's fine. They'll be able to put him on IR, and hopefully they can stash him away on the practice squad. But again, by the time he comes back, we'll have a host of new injuries, right? In the running back room.
Well, don't say
So
that.
I know. I'm sorry. Not gonna put. Okay, wide receivers. This one is really interesting now. So it's very evident that Demarcus Robinson could be a solid player, and he's a very above average wide receiver. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So Ricky Pearsall might make this team. I'm gonna keep making that joke for like guys who wear locks. Juwan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk. Obviously, we don't know what's going on with him. He's clearly not gonna be ready for Week 1, so we do that. Demarcus Robinson, we got to find out what's going on with that suspension. NFL, if you're watching this, which I know you are because you demonetize any video that has all 22 on it. Can you hurry up with this already so we can figure this out? So we can figure out what this room's gonna look like. But Russell Gage, Robbie Chosen. And this is something that we never thought that we'd be talking about right now
I know.
because
It's
Russell Gage is only 29, but he's coming off a severe injury. He's looked very good. Robbie Chosen had 92 RBI, 92 RBIs. Jesus, this baseball thing is stuck in my head. 92 yards.
RBIs.
So who stays, who goes?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I do think it's between Robbie Chosen and Hodgins, and Hodgins has like more special teams, I think value to bring, but
Mhm.
Robbie Chosen, you can get something out of him. So I think it's between those two guys, and to me it's a toss up, but I think Chosen might give you a little bit more. He looks more comfortable, way more comfortable this year on this team than he did, last year.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe the 49ers would, because we found out that they got outbid for John Mechie. Do you feel like the 49ers would entertain another trade offer request? Because Mechie's a guy that's on a rookie contract, right? That's somebody who, again, if it's going to be a target, it's not going to be somebody who's super expensive. It's going to be somebody who,
Right.
they can take a chance on with a rookie deal. I saw the vision with Mechie, right? Mechie's just pushed out of the way in Houston because Jalen Noel, Higgins, Nico, they added Christian Kirk. There's no room, right? Like, there's no room. So the only reason they were really outbid is because the Eagles had a tight end, and that's what the Texans were really looking for. They weren't looking for any sort of draft compensation. They're running out of tight ends, just like the 49ers are running out of whatever position, insert position here. Do you think they would entertain another trade or look at a certain people? Because I've got a small little list.
Yeah.
Curtis
I think,
Samuel, Curtis
yeah.
Samuel, Adam Thielen. And before you
Thielen's
scoff at Adam Thielen being 35, just remember he put up 100 on Vic Fangio's defense last year. Unk still got it. Okay,
No, he's
for
still
1 year, I'm fine
like-
with it. I'm fine with it. But do you think that they will?
I don't know if they do. They have the option, obviously, but I think at this point they might just wait to see who gets cut around cut time,
That makes sense.
right? And it'll cost you nothing.
Right.
And so I wouldn't be surprised at that. But I think if they do make a move for anyone, it is going to be in that realm of the John Mechie where it doesn't cost you much. It's for a player possibly on the last year of his deal, like further down on the depth chart. Because again, similar to the wide receiver or the running back group, they're only looking for depth here. So there's only so many players that kind of fit that requisite and what they would give up to get that player.
Malachi Corley, Jalen Hyatt. These are names that, like, again, they're at the end of their time with these teams, right? And they're still very cheap and they can be developed. I don't think the 49ers will, right? I think Matt Mayoko really threw some fire on that. I mean, threw some water on the fire. Like, he just said, nope, I don't foresee that at all.
I saw that, which I thought was surprising because, like, it was literally a day after the report that they were in on Mechie. So
right,
okay.
With Mechie, I think again his contract isn't small. He was taken in the second round, right? Like that's like a $9 million deal. Like right now, Curtis Samuel makes about $6 million a year from Buffalo. He might be on the outside looking in if you consider what they've got, going through. I don't think they're gonna cut him. I think he'll stick around. And then Thielen's not getting cut, but he is on the outside looking in because of McMillan and Coker and Xavier Legette, right? But they're not going to cut those guys, right? Like those guys you would have to trade for. You could just sit around and wait for Jalen Hyatt or Malachi Corley or Deontay Johnson or like a bunch of these guys are going to be on. Like Deontay Johnson's on his way out now because they just signed Isaiah Bond, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's going to be, I think, a lot of options throughout the league that will become available after cuts. So there might be some surprises, as there always is around this time of the year, right? So I think they'll be watching closely.
Okay. Linebackers. Fred Warner's going to make this team. Dee Winters is your starter. Nick Martin. Tatum Batoon. Jalen Graham. Curtis Robinson's on his way back as well, too, and the 49ers really like him. How many do you think they keep at linebacker?
I'd probably say 5. And you didn't mention Luke Gifford, which I think he has an inside track there too. Curtis Robinson, I did love a lot, before he suffered his injury last year. And I just haven't seen him kind of get back to where he was at that point quite yet. So I think maybe they kick that can down the road and, maybe have him on the practice squad. Same with Jalen Graham too. I think there's still a little more I'd need to see from him, and I think I'd be comfortable having him on the practice squad. So I'd say Gifford probably gets that last spot.
Chaz Surratt?
Practice squad?
Yeah, probably. And I think Gifford gets it just because of special teams. And that's what we have to remember too about these wide receivers. See, we mentioned all those wide receivers, but we didn't mention Junior Bergen.
Well, he just doesn't. He looked good in that one play in the first preseason game, but after that, and he's undersized, so just give him some time, I guess. But at the same time, it's like, if not now, when is he ever gonna crack the 53?
All right, we have to do receiver over again. Okay. Pearsall, Jennings, Cowing, Ayuk, Russell Gage, I would say probably over Robbie Chosen, maybe. I think they just like his veteran, presence. And I don't know how they keep Junior Bergen. I really just don't. Huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You said Watkins, right?
Watkins,
Robinson. Yeah,
Marcus Robinson too. That's tough.
So we already talked about the last spot, right? I think it's between Chosen and Hodgins. I think both of those players I'd put over Bergen right now. So that's why I didn't even mention him earlier.
Well, the thing is yes, the 49ers would love to have a great punt returner, but you can't have a punt returner that doesn't offer you anything else. Like nothing else.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Which makes it tough.
I feel like they think they can get by with Cowing or Garendo, returning the punts because those guys offer you more. So yes, he's great, and they absolutely drafted him to be a punt returner, but you can't solely keep a punt returner, a special teams guy who doesn't offer you anything as a wide receiver. And that's the part. Like if you're not going to be depth, no matter what you say about Ted Ginn can still play wide receiver. He still offered you something. So, yeah, the wide receiver is going to be interesting because what happens with the Marcus Robinson suspension? Obviously Jordan Watkins is going to make the team. Russell Gage is making it harder and harder for them to stay away from bringing him in. So it's just going to be interesting. We got to figure out the Ayuk thing. Is it PUP? Is it IR? Whatever it is, I don't know those designations. Is Juwan Jennings ready to roll? A lot of this is still up in the air. That's why we're talking through these predictions right now. They're not absolutely set in stone. Okay, cornerback. Ronaldo Green, Diamador Lenore, lock him in. Upton Stout, lock him in. Chase Lucas has got to make this team though right now, right?
Agreed. I
Hold on,
also
hold on.
say Dallas Flowers,
Dallas
probably
Flowers definitely making this team.
making this team. Darrell Luter, I think, still needs to make this team just for the sake of depth. Like,
And special teams.
yeah, and I know people are like think that experiment is over and maybe to be a starter, but I think he's done enough to deserve a spot at least on the 53 as depth. So
Jacob Robinson,
practice squad, and I love him.
but I think somebody's gonna take him.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I know. I'd be so upset because
Well,
this happened to them before with corners.
you have to remember the entire NFL world is looking at the 49ers and waiting to see who they let go because they have built such a reputation of being
But it's
able to stack
different.
depth.
It's different this year, though.
Is
It's
it?
different because I think so. I think
Okay.
teams aren't going to be looking at the 49ers the same way. That's not to say that they won't have one or two players poached, but I just don't think they're that highly viewed around the league right now just based on their roster because everyone look at how the national media talks about the 49ers. It's like, whoa, they got rid of everyone and like they had to bring in all these new people and their depth sucks. You know,
It
that
sounds
was
like
like the narrative. So like what what does it sound like?
This sounds like Emmanuel Acho, who's just like, I don't know what they're doing. And I'm like, yeah,
That's
idiot. Like all of these players were ready to go anyway. Like, what are you dumb?
everyone. I feel like a lot of people outside of the 49ers bubble, you know, kind of has that view on the 49ers though.
I think everybody's watching us right now, and I think they always are. And I think because of the success that they've had and they've been able to get from players later in the draft, that you can bet your ass that teams are going to be watching and waiting to see, and I'm sure that, Jacob Robinson wasn't drafted, but I'm fairly certain that other teams evaluated him as well too. So if you keep talking glowingly about him, you keep having these good practice reports, and then you're like, man, that's somebody. And again, injuries are happening all across the league as well too, right? So we've got to also keep that in mind as well too. So I get scared of that. So we've got Flowers, we've got Luter probably for special teams. You've got Lenore, you've got Green, you've got Lucas, you've got Stout.
So
Is that they're gonna keep
yeah,
six, or
how many do we think they're keeping? 6 or 7?
they should probably keep 7?
Okay.
So maybe
then,
Jacob Robinson has a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so it's either him or Siren Neal, right?
And he played corner today, by the way.
Positional versatility.
Mm-hmm. That may
is
be
some
something that they're
value.
looking to. But, it just depends on where they go. Like, again, if they keep 7 at corner, that's fine. That makes sense. But I wonder if they kind of keep him as a safety, then they can move around, stuff like that. We got to see. So that's what we think, at least for corner right now. What about safety? So Siegel, Mustafa, Pinnock, Richie Grant, Jair Brown. That's it, right?
That's it, yeah.
That's it, right?
That's it.
And the good thing is that Siegel can, play up, play down. You can move around. Like that's the other thing too. Is like we got to figure out what they want to do with him and what he's done. I think that's pretty consistent with what they're probably gonna go with. I don't know if let's see who else is on there. I don't know if anybody else is gonna make it. I think that's a good list.
It probably
Jalen Mahoney's fine.
practice squad.
Yeah,
He's making the practice squad.
yeah. So Grant, Pinnock, Brown, Mustafa, Siegel. That's it, right? Like that should be it, And they'll probably keep another one while Mustafa's getting himself ready. Okay. Defensive line. How do you keep Sebastian Valdez off this team right now?
I don't think you can. You have to keep him on this team because I think he's definitely someone who would get poached by another team. And they might just be able to do it with all the other injuries that they're dealing with at the position. Yetur Gross-Matos, Kyle Shanahan said, haven't seen a lot of progress from him. So he could probably start the season, I don't know, on IR maybe? I'm not sure what his status is or how they feel about him. But there are ways that I think Valdez makes this roster, and I think they have to find a way to make it happen. Robert Beal Jr., for example, still hurt as well. Kevin Givens, hasn't returned yet. So those are, I think, opportunities for Valdez to sneak in.
Valdez, Evan Anderson, Kalia Davis, C.J. West, Michael
Samo,
Williams, Sammy O, Nick Bosa,
Collins.
Collins, who said him. Yeah. Yeah, it seems kind of pretty cut and dry, but Valdez is making it so hard to even say that it's a possibility he won't. So, Jordan Elliott's another one. It's all gonna boil down to who's healthy at this point, and the roster maneuvering, right?
Yeah.
Who's on pup? Who's on IR? How do we navigate this? Who do we think we can sneak on the practice squad? I just have a tough time seeing them. Kalia Davis is going to make this team. He played 13 games last year. Evan Anderson is somebody they clearly like, and they're going to need as a rotational guy. The Yetur Gross Matos thing, man, that's such a bummer because we had these visions of the NASCAR package and having his positional versatility playing inside and out. And now, for all intents and purposes, you could be looking at 3 defensive linemen, rookies, that'll be starting week 1 in base downs.
So
we forgot about Bryce Huff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and he's a lock, obviously.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 2 positions where I think there's opportunities for other guys to get in. We talked about defensive tackle, right? Valdez, maybe Givens, maybe he doesn't make the 53, or maybe they find a way to give him some sort of injury designation. Maybe Jordan Elliott, not sure, but Gross Matos, I think there's some intriguing depth options. I think they have there. Sam O, obviously, I think makes the roster. But Jonathan Garvin has looked pretty good as well throughout training camp and also in the preseason games. So I don't know. I wouldn't even be mad if he snuck into the 53. Again, if they kind of find a way to make those maneuvers to make it work. But he would be the other guy that I would not be surprised if they find a way to get him.
And just putting this out there, because there's plenty of players that you might be wondering why haven't they signed. They're just trying to skip training camp. Jadeveon Clowney and Zadarius Smith are still available to be added, and if you get them later on, prorate the salary. You need reliable bodies, and Jadeveon Clowney is far more better in run defense than he is as a pass rusher. Zadarius Smith it's a redundant skill set with Bryce Huff, so I don't think you can go there. But I wouldn't hate the 49ers kicking the tires on an experienced defensive lineman like Clowney while they mitigate all these injuries.
I honestly think it's better for the 49ers that some of these players wait till the end, because I think right now, we're a couple of weeks away from the start of the season. It's a little bit more than just a projection that the 49ers defensive line is going to be pretty good. And with Robert Saleh, you're seeing the vision already of what Saleh's trying to put together and just the different packages that he's going to have, more exotic looks, things like that. So that suddenly makes the 49ers more appealing to a free agent that's still out there than it would have been at the start of free agency anyway. So I think this is great for the 49ers if they feel like they want to make one of those moves.
Okay, let's talk about everybody's favorite position group, the offensive line. Literally the greatest offensive line in the history of the NFL. Trent Williams, Ben Barch, Jake Brendel, Pooney, and McKivitz. Those are your starters.
Yes.
Okay. Now, left tackle Spencer Burford is the backup, right?
Yes.
Left guard, it has to be Connor Colby, and I don't want Nick Zacko here anymore. I've seen enough.
I'm still laughing that you're calling him Zacko, dude. Like, that's...
I don't care.
I know. That makes it even funnier.
Call him released. It's just like we're in year 3 or 4. Oh, you got to watch out for Nick. No, we don't.
No, that ship sailed. Unfortunately, like that. This was his one last shot, to make the 53 and crack it, and he hasn't figured it out. So, who would take his place, though? I mean, I think that's the question. I've seen some good and I've seen some bad from Pleasance, for example. Drew Moss.
That's your backup right tackle for better or worse. Yeah.
But does he? I think for that last spot, like the 49ers may be looking for some positional versatility. I know Colby has played a couple spots. He could play both guard spots at least, but I guess who between Hennessy, Moss, and Pleasance, like who would you keep? If you don't keep Zakelj.
Pleasant stays because he's the backup right tackle to McKivitz. Burford is the backup left tackle. They had visions of Andre Dillard being the swing tackle. That never moved me, and I didn't really care when he got sent away. I think those guys stick. Colby and Moss stick. Who's the backup center is the better question if Zacko leaves. or Zakel, whatever.
So
the
are
hell
we
his name
saying
is.
are we saying they keep 10? How many offensive linemen do they usually keep? Rob,
That's a good question.
can you
Rob,
look
can you
that
pull
up?
that up? Yeah.
Look it up, Rob.
Yeah, but who? So, but the thing is that the backup center could be Matt Hennessy.
It could be, but that's why I'm asking about how many guys they usually keep, because I don't think it's a 1-to-1. They don't usually keep a backup for every position on the offensive line. That's why they look for the positional versatility, because they have like 1 or 2 guys who could play a couple of different spots. And Connor Colby, like I said, could play both guard spots. You talked about Burford being left tackle, Pleasance, right tackle, but you need one other guy who could play 2 other spots, right? So not sure who offers
Feliciano.
that. Exactly. Call him up, Feliciano. I mean, we know he could do it. And maybe they are just kind of waiting because, he doesn't need to worry about all this preseason stuff. But
I would be pretty upset after he went on, I think it was 95-7 the game, and he's been talking so much about the 49ers giving him a call that if like he signed with the Bills, like, dude, are you here to stay or like what? Like, just stop talking. Don't worry about it. But yeah. By the way, Feliciano's starting a podcast for anybody who wants to learn about offensive line. So I think
God.
look. If he's going to inform about the nuances of offensive line, I think every single person needs to tune into that, because that'll help you evaluate what. This will help you evaluate what you're seeing, so you don't just go blame Colton McKivitz when there's a blown, play from Pooney on the right side. It's nice for you to educate. Is it going to be entertaining? I don't know, but it could be informational, and that's all that really matters.
It's not a wide receiver podcast, and that's all that really matters, I think.
Man, let's just look. And I literally just spent all the offseason saying less player podcast, but I think this one could be good.
It could be good. It could be like if it's along the lines of the QB school, but it's for offensive linemen. There's something in that. Because there needs to be something in that where someone is giving us the context that us, normal fans don't have.
Yeah, I think it would be great. It's just, is it going to be entertaining? Right? Like, I think JT's really good at entertaining and everything as well, too. So
he doesn't even need a guest.
No, he doesn't.
Right, so
quarterbacks.
8 or 9. 8 or 9 was the
8 or 9
for
quarterbacks.
Line, so let's do it.
Brock Purdy.
I don't know, man.
Mac Jones, Nate Sudfeld. Nate Sudfeld's your emergency third quarterback.
Yeah, and
like
there was a long. Most of this offseason, I've been saying that I don't think the 49ers even need a third quarterback. But because of the Mac Jones injury and not knowing how long is he supposed to be out?
He's just going to miss this week. He's fine for week 1. But you do have the emergency third quarterback because of the Brock Purdy rule.
That player could be on the practice squad, can't they?
Sudfeld.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I think it's just Mac and Purdy, and that's it for quarterback.
And Jawan Jennings?
What?
former quarterback Jawan Jennings? Come on, man. Or former quarterback Kyle Juszczyk? Oh my God. I've been holding on to that one for so long. I've been holding on to that one for so long.
Than I am.
No, well, I mean, Jawan Jennings has to be on this roster because you do need a reliable quarterback 3. Like that makes a lot of sense, right? All right. God help me. Specialists. Do it, Rob. Nope, he don't got it.
He's going to.
Kicker update.
Steph, go.
Kicked his ass off.
Jake Mooney. Jake Mooney is your kicker for this season. And
kicker update.
Rob's like, that's it. That's the update.
This is my personal nightmare. Like this is like, yeah, God. Morstead's the punter, and Weeks is the long snapper, right?
Yes.
Did you see Morstead cross himself before the kick? Yeah.
Brain before the kick? Yeah, I think we all were.
Look, just because there's not another kicker on here doesn't mean that Jake Moody's out of the woods. If he goes full meltdown in any of these games, you better believe Greg Joseph is going to get called. So you're not out of the clear. Here we go.
What's he doing here?
Sorry, I hate to break in. It's your show, but I do want to share with you, Steph, that Jay and I are at the game, or watching the game, we're following along what's happening with the 49ers, and we see that Jake Moody misses a field goal. And your boy spent the next 3 innings just ripping Jake Moody to shreds for 3 innings, no matter what was happening in the game. It was this guy terrible. Look what I'm about to tweet about Jake Moody.
I saw that tweet too.
There you go.
It's because if I don't do it off of the show, I'm just gonna ramble on the show, and I don't want to talk about kickers. I thought it was a safe space, Rob. Why are you telling everybody this, man? My God, I know not to confide anything.
Like we don't already know,
right? No, but I mean, but the thing is you don't understand how much I want to not talk about this. You know why I want to not talk about this? Because if the guy's making his kicks and doing his job, there's nothing to talk about. But when he misses his kicks, we have to talk about it, and that's annoying because you're a kicker. You only have one job. When you look around the NFL, 32 teams. There's maybe 1 or 2 teams that are just like, man, who's going to be our kicker? Everyone else is fine. I want that for us. That's all.
Is that too much to ask for? It's really not. I mean,
and people are just like, why are you being so mean? I'm like, yeah, but when Deebo Samuel drops a pass, you guys go crazy on him and everything. It's like, why do we have to handle this kicker with kid gloves?
Right. I know.
Make the kicks and we'll shut up. Like, I don't care, bro. I just make the kicks so we don't have to talk about it anymore. It's like this. Like when a left tackle comes in to replace Trent Williams and you don't hear his name called. It's a good thing because that means nothing bad happened. If we're talking about the kicker, it's a bad thing. It's not like we're like, oh, amazing job making that 35-yarder. No, that's your job. You don't tackle. You don't catch the ball. You don't block. Just make your kicks. That's all. Is that so hard?
Apparently it is. Apparently.
He kicked his ass off.
That's such a... and then Kyle is so funny, right? Like, actual football players will just be like, oh, well, I don't know if he's going to be on this team or anything like that. And he's just like throwing his support.
Prop up the kicker, though.
He's throwing his support like behind the kicker as like there's a wide receiver that could really use that vote of confidence. But you're just like, oh, I'm not playing him, man. Like, it's just funny. Like, I just don't understand that part. But, Steph, I think we did a great job on this. I'm really excited. So, you know what? We've got a few more minutes. Let's just do it. The Los Angeles Chargers are here. And,
oh, God.
Yeah, exactly.
This is almost as bad as talking about kickers, Jay. Like, it's just something I don't want to do. Do we have to? We know.
So our 49ers media group, there are so many good ones. And there's so many things that they don't have to ask. For instance, us trying to figure out what's going on with Dominic Pooney and other injury updates are very important. We want to figure out who's going to make this team. We need to know updates on these rookies. And someone asked Kyle Shanahan about smelling salts. And you don't want to let us get in and ask, you don't want to give us a credential because we're going to ask crazy questions. Someone asked him about smelling salts. And then, of course, someone asked him again about Trey Lance. Dude, enough. He's not here. Kyle's going to say the same thing over and over. You're wasting time. There's plenty of questions that you can ask Kyle Shanahan that actually have merit to what's going on with this team and what's going to happen in this season. Rehashing this discussion is the most nauseating thing, and the only thing more nauseating is the fact that everybody's going to start throwing around this Jim Harbaugh over Kyle Shanahan crap.
I can't wait for this meaningless preseason game.
Yes.
To talk about a meaningless quarterback discussion with meaningless stats. Again, from a meaningless game. It's nauseating. No, don't give us that, Rob.
No, read it for the audio listeners.
Yeah, for the audio listeners, we got a banner that Rob just put up here that says Trey Lance season loading. Good for Lance. I mean, it's not even anything against Lance. It's just like, can we move on because he's not on this team anymore? As Jay said, we've gotten the same answer from Kyle Shanahan. It's not going to change at this point. Let's just let it be and let's just move on, please.
Yeah, like that's it, man. And all he's going to say is the same thing that anytime I'm asked about it, I say, I wish the best for you, but you're not here, so I don't care.
I wish he could say that, honestly. I really do. Maybe people would stop asking questions about it then. But you know what, Jay? Like, I did think about this. It would have been even worse if Mac Jones played in that game. Because you know what people would do? They would compare their stats in a meaningless preseason game. Like,
now, I'll tell you this. I would love that. Now, that is interesting. That is compelling television. Like that is some.
Telling, but you also know it doesn't mean anything.
Well, this game's not going to mean anything because I swear to God, if I see any starter in this game for more than 1 or 2 plays, I'm going to absolutely rip my TV off the wall. Like,
There's gonna be at least some guys who are gonna have
maybe, but please, for God's sake, man, like nobody like should be out there. And I know he said most of the starters won't play, but if the starters are gonna play for one series, get everybody out of there. Like, just get them. And the starters that aren't gonna play, don't even let them come to the stadium. Tell them to stay home. Like, I don't even need you at the stadium. Like, that's how close I am to just please. We have this game, and then we have a great week off with the holiday. We get the reset, and then bam, we're right back in the saddle, and football is here. Thursday Night Football is the opening game. We have football. Oh my God. We have football that first week. Thursday, Friday, college football Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We're so close. We're so close, man. But I just don't need to see any of those guys in the stadium. Don't even go to the locker room. Don't even tempt fate.
I gotta read this one for the audio listeners. Jason is in a glass case of emotion today.
Listen, I made the joke about us getting the injuries out of the way. Please, let's not tempt fate here. And yeah, like the question right there, like Mac versus Trey would have went hard. That would have been amazing.
No, it would have been fun. It would have been fun to watch. It's just like I wouldn't have enjoyed the discourse that would have went along with that because inevitably it'd be insufferable.
I'll tell you this, it's gonna be funny because if you remember that training camp that Trey was there, Trey, Jimmy, Sudfeld, Purdy. Sudfeld's gonna start against Trey. We can run with that one.
I kind of wish that we knew how much lore we would have on all of those players, like while that was happening, because I feel like we would have appreciated it maybe just a little bit differently.
There is no team that entertains like the San Francisco 49ers. Like the Dallas Cowboys entertain, but it's a clown show. This is entertaining like for something completely different, right? Like that training camp, and we sat there for all of those sessions.
Yeah.
Trey, Jimmy's running around in the backfield.
Special.
Wake up, honey, new Sudfeld dart. Who the hell's number 13? Like, that was such a chaotic training camp, man.
They should have been on Hard Knocks that season. That offseason would have been so fire.
That would have been the time. But unfortunately, playoff teams don't get it or anything like that. Although, I don't understand what that means if Buffalo's in it. Whatever, that's fine. But, yeah, man, there's no show like the San Francisco 49ers. Remember, we're not the content creators. We're the ones who just cover the content. The 49ers create so much content, and we are just lucky enough to be around for it.
That's showbiz, baby. 49ers.
Steph, thank you so much for joining me on your birthday. Again, happy birthday. I say this all the time. You're an amazing friend. You're an amazing analyst. You work harder than just about anybody who's out there. I wouldn't be able to do this show without you. You're incredible, and I just want to make sure that I let you know that right here, right now.
Well, I appreciate you. And the best gift that you gave me today, Jay, was to not have to do this show with Rob. So thank you.
Cooked his ass. All right. That'll do it for this episode of
put one in there.
That's so perfect. That'll do it for this episode of Bully Ball on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. Make sure you follow Steph on Twitter at Steph49K. Follow me on Twitter at JasonAponte2103. Make sure you are subscribed to the Gold Standard Podcast Network wherever you get your audio podcasts. Make sure you're liking and subscribing this video as well too. Check out Steph Sanchez's YouTube channel. Check out my YouTube channel. But make sure you like and subscribe to Gold Standard Podcast Network on YouTube as well too. Steph, we're close. Enjoy your birthday. Enjoy this week of overblown narratives. For Steph, for Jay, we're out of here.
Peace.